Let's not forget to talk shit about Gen X as well. Why aren't they getting heat for not saving the planet and not making good on all their promises? They were supposed to usher in some technology-driven utopia.
Glad to have you, amazing viewer. I'm so privileged to have you right here. Don't forget to like the video and let's go. In today's video, we'll be looking at Gen X. Following the video I shared on this generational conflict, I'd shared about Gen Z, and I got a response from a Gen X who also spoke of them having gone through the same thing that Gen Zs are going through right now. And I also heard somebody saying that maybe Gen Z will be the next Gen X. Why not millennials? We'll get to hear that. What do they have to say about millennials? So you've heard from the beginning, why are they not saving the planet? Is the planet ever safe for anybody? Could it be that we are just going in circles? Could it be that we are all going through the same thing? What do you think about this? So I'll let you listen to the few stitches that I put together, but I personally love this generation. The way they have navigated through their life is so fascinating. Yeah, let me let you listen to this.
A bunch of those fuckers started these mega tech companies. They were the first people to have the internet, and I think they blew it. Let's not forget to talk shit about Gen X as well.
Unless you want to get punched in the mouth, okay? Because you're talking about a generation of people that was raised directly by boomers. Boomers that would call them ugly, fat, this, that, and the third to their faces. So now they're ready for the smoke. I promise you they are, right? So you start with them. You don't want to poke that bear. I'm telling you right now, you don't, right? The good news is that generation is getting their get back because they are the ones that are raising Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And we all know Gen Z and Alpha, they'll launch a protest in a minute, right? They're going to change the system from on the outside and on the inside and all these other things. So I would leave them alone. But you do what you want. I'm going to stay out of it.
I feel like I need to put that out there. Gen X. You have a generation that, by and large, lives their lives. They're quiet. They don't create drama. They're considered the forgotten generation. Now what's going on with boomers, where they're skipping Gen X on the inheritance and setting up GSTs to give it to millennials and Gen Z? On the greatest wealth transfer in history, they're passing down $53 trillion. A GST is a generational skip trust. And they're saying that Gen X, they're good. They don't need help. Millennials and Gen Z need the help. For my generation and Gen Z, this is what I want to say. We cannot blow this opportunity. We can't. If we blow this, they will be talking about us and using this example for the rest of this world's existence on what not to do with money. We cannot do what lottery winners do. They're broke within 2 years. Why? They buy cars and boats and renovate their houses and take great risks. We cannot do that. If we're going to succeed, we have to be consistent, disciplined. We cannot change our lifestyle. That money needs to go into assets that grow our wealth and pay us cash flow. Cash flow. Cash flow. Okay? Don't give this money out. Don't take great risk. Be responsible. Be disciplined. This is a huge opportunity for us. We cannot blow it. If you don't know how to do this, get help. And for Gen X, I'm sorry. Thank God you guys are so tough. This is a cold move.
Who let Gen X off the hook?
Oh, that's easy. You see, it's everybody that fucked around. Yeah, we invented the phrase, fuck around and find out. Every generation goes through a rebellious phase, and they all grow out of it, except for Gen X. Yeah, we're still here. We are those people that will knock you the fuck out and then help you get up and ask you if you're okay. Not that we care, it's good etiquette. What can I say? But you know what's really cool? I think we're gonna be able to pass the torch. Yeah, because I just have this feeling that Gen Z is gonna be just like us. And if they are, y'all are all fucked. Y'all are all fucked. I don't know what to tell you. I need a Reese's.
Here's why. Gen X was a relatively small generation which refused to be named, which is why they're called Gen X. We were fiercely independent and basically feral. We raised ourselves and each other, and we were relatively unsupervised. If any generation had the motto, do no harm but take no shit, it would be Gen X. Gen X was the first generation to start breaking generational trauma and laid the groundwork that's everything political, technological, and social that all millennials and Gen Zers walk, talk, and text on today. We were so independent we made ourselves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, took ourselves to and from school. Didn't come home till the streetlights came on, or if you're in the country, the sun was half a thumb's width from the horizon. And Gen X is the highest educated generation, and our contributions to society were raising millennials and Gen Z to be the little warriors that they are today. But due to our feral and independent nature, everybody leaves us alone, as they should.
Off the hook, my friend, we are the hook. We are the generation of fuck around and find out. Gen Xers raised each other. We had to be adults by the time we were 9. When we fought in real life, not through a keyboard on the internet. We left the house at 7 o'clock in the morning and didn't return till 10 o'clock at night. Our parents didn't even know where we were, but we always made it home. We were outside in some construction site, breaking stuff or building ramps for our bicycles. And we came home either with broken bones or cuts. And our parents used to tell, well, go take a shower and wash it well. We were born before the internet, but we still managed to be tech savvy, which nobody taught us. We learned ourselves. Gen Xers weren't allergic to anything, especially fucking gluten. We are the most feral generation of all. And if you want to talk about us or make fun of us, you are not going to hurt our feelings, trust me. And we're the generation that will protect our loved ones with everything they got. So I wouldn't advise you to mess with us. Just my little 2 cents.
It's because nobody gave a shit. When we were in most of our working lives, the baby boomers sucked the air out of everything. Business, politics, whatever. They set the system, and we were just along for the ride. So we knew if we were going to get ahead, we had to put our heads down and do whatever we could to move up in this system. Either that or innovate, which, a lot of tech entrepreneurs were able to do. But for most of us, like me, I started in PR and advertising. That was not the case. Now, I got my first job in '89. The economy was terrible. It took me almost a year to find it. It took my husband 2 years. And it was a highly competitive field, so I knew I had to be faster, better, more talented if I was going to be able to stay employed at all. I will never forget the moment that I became a Gen Xer. I was at the time living in Louisville, Kentucky. I was still very young, in my late 20s, and I was the president of the International Association of Business Communicators chapter in our town. And I was so excited to be sent to the national IABC conference. There were probably 7,000 or 8,000 people there. It was a huge deal, a great opportunity for me to network and learn and better myself, so I just couldn't wait. Except that the keynote speaker was this tool. His name was Dylan Schneider, and he had just written this book on Gen X. And he spent the entire keynote presentation talking about how awful we were, how we didn't want to work, how we had no governable way of being managed, that we didn't believe in anything that previous generations had believed in, and that we were just terrible employees, terrible people. And that you better watch out, managers, was basically what he was saying. Well, I went up to him afterwards and basically ripped that man a new one. I was like, how dare you do that? I work at a company with 150 people. I'm the first one here. I'm the last one to leave at night. And you are not helping anybody by painting us all with this brush. He patted me on my head, told me I was an unusual person, and sent me on my way. And that's what it's like to be a Gen Xer.
Think that no one wants to mess with us. And there are 2 main reasons for that. Number 1 is you're all dependent on us in one way or the other. The boomers, as they get older, get ready to retire, probably transition to Valhalla soon, they become more and more dependent on us as the days go by. And they also know in great detail what kind of a monster they created, and they're not ready to stick their hand in that bear trap. The younger ones, well, you've never become independent from us, relying on us for everything from your cell phone bills to your insurance, or even sometimes the roof over your head. And why would you bite the hand that feeds you? Now, the second part, and probably the scarier part, is what we Gen X are. We are the most rabid and feral generation ever. You see, the way that we were raised, forced into this place called the outside, We were left to our own vices to learn how to survive. And because of that, we've become inventive and creative in all aspects of our lives. As far as our methodologies, some of them probably don't align with that of the Geneva Convention. And yes, we did want to live our lives just like William Wallace was, to be a farmer, to be left alone in some far-off place. But of course, if you invite us into a battle, we will come, and we will probably obliterate you in methods that you don't want to experience. So, I think that answers most of your question.
Now, I could explain a highly effective Gen X mantra known as "I'm rubber, you're glue," or "sticks and stones," but I know that is way too complex for you younger generations. I'd have a better time explaining quantum physics to you, so let's try this one. You see, we didn't have safe spaces growing up. We couldn't hide behind keyboards, so we learned that we actually had to cope and deal with people and their words, and sometimes even their actions. We also quickly figured out if you didn't like the individual or you didn't respect them, then who gives a shit about what they had to say? And one other thing we quickly figured out was allowing someone to trigger you with their words was highly illogical. Now here's an idea, a little history lesson. Instead of getting uber offended and triggered, why not get a little intestinal fortitude, look them in the eye and tell them, don't talk about it, be about it. FAFO. And if you don't know what that means, you probably are definitely on the wrong feed. Generation X, did I miss anything?
Today, and I'll answer the question in two parts. Number one, in terms of making fun of us, in terms of this generational war, well, if you met us, you'd know that's probably not the best idea. Secondly, we make about as much fun of ourselves as anybody possibly could. I don't know if there's ever been a generation of such bitingly sarcastic, self-deprecating people across an entire spectrum of different socioeconomical classes. We all make fun of ourselves and each other. So anything you'd have to throw at us probably wouldn't hurt. And the second part, we just don't have the numbers to create the type of political clout either the boomers, the millennials had. Y'all are much bigger than us. And a larger part of that is that although our parents and our grandparents weren't really trying to kill us in our formative years, they didn't do much to stand out of the way of that. What with the toys and the playgrounds they created. It's kind of like they said, I'm going to work for 12 hours now. You take care of yourself, and here's some matches and some Aquanet, and good luck. So, yeah, pretty much it.
Why don't y'all fuck with Gen X and talk shit about us? This feels just a little bit like a fuck around and find out kind of moment, right? And I don't know that the vast majority of y'all young kids out here these days are quite ready to find out, okay? Did you grow up being bullied by your own mother? Because the vast majority of us did, right? So we don't have feelings, and we are fresh out of fucks to give, okay? So rest assured that we will in fact hurt yours, okay? We might even make you cry, and then we're gonna laugh about it later, like over a bottle of wine. I'm not saying don't do it, but you might want to think it over first, okay? As always, y'all have the day you deserve out here, okay?
Asking somebody that was born in Gen X is so frustrating because they don't understand the impact of what they be sending because they don't understand the meaning of it. I sent my mama a message. She bought me something, and I sent her a message like telling her, like, you know, I'm so thankful, like, appreciative, thank you so much, I appreciate this, and she just sent me a thumbs up.
She sent you a thumbs up? Miscommunication, and it could be Gen X's fault, is that we have not communicated to the younger generations the value of a thumbs up. The thumbs up is the golden standard. It is the seal of approval. It is it's the chef's kiss, if you will. There are people in therapy because all they ever wanted from their mom was a thumbs up and never got it. Even now, as a Gen X dad, if any female Gen Xer gives me a thumbs up at anything, when? Made my day, made my year. That is like, the added bonus of the fact that she bought you those gifts and the fact that she found the thumbs emoji, bonus points. Gen X Pro.
Hi, I'm Kelly Mano, and I'm here today to talk about why Gen X is absolutely the most traumatized generation of all time. Some of the shit we had to do was not normal, and it's time to talk about it. Number one, with a bullet, I still have trauma from the word scoliosis, and I've never had scoliosis. They made us all strip down to our bra and underwear, stand in a big-ass line, half naked. At the end of the line was a total stranger you had to go bend over in front of. You would do this, and you would do this, and then you would bend over, and then they would tell you if you had scoliosis or not. Number 2, swats. Our teachers could hit us with wooden paddles. Our parents did not care. Each teacher had their own paddle, and they would display them in their classroom. Some teachers would paint them or name them. A lot of teachers would drill holes in them to make the paddle more aerodynamic when they hit you. Assistant principal at my school, she would kick her shoes off before she gave you a swat so that she could get a running start. Number 3, I'm gonna go with pinch and inch. They had this device, it was like a fat clamper, okay? Clamp it on your belly, and if this little tool could pinch more than an inch, then you were told you were fat and you had to lose weight. Number 4 is gonna be the lice check. So we would all stand in line and sit in a chair one at a time, and the school nurse would go through our hair with these chopsticks. They would be like, hey, we got one right here. And you had to do the lice walk of shame to the office to go home. Rounding out number 5 is when the dentist would come to school and they would make you eat these tablets that would like fizz up in your mouth, and they tasted disgusting, and they were like purple and red and blue, and they would stick to any plaque, and it would show the dentist how bad your dental health was. But then the rest of the day, you had to walk around with that shit on your teeth. Everybody could see like your plaque, and like, we couldn't take ourselves to the dentist. This was not our fault, okay? And that's it. Shout out to all my Gen Xers who are still out there surviving and thriving.
Here's a little Gen X.
I love this lady.
I was an investigator for 26 years, and as I dive deeper into social media and Gen X, one thing has become very clear. We all lived remarkably similar lives growing up, despite the lack of digital connectivity back then. During our childhood, the news was a blip on the TV at 6 and 11, covered mostly local shit. You read the newspaper for everything else, and there was no internet. So how in the fuck is it that our parents were all speaking the same language, using the same weapons of ass destruction, and raising us with ass destruction? Was there some sort of secret handbook distributed when we were born that was required to be burned when we left home? Or was there some weekly column in the newspaper called How to Fuck Your Kids Up? Because over the last year and a half, I've come to realize that the majority of us from different countries and cultures were all a bunch of feral, garden hose drinking, seen and not heard, rub some dirt on it, you're fine, stop that crying or I'll give you something to cry about, be home when the street lights come on, go play in traffic kind of kids. And that's just a few of the identical phrases. How were our parents sharing this shit with each other? They didn't have the luxury of the internet, 24-hour media coverage, email, or unlimited long-distance phone calls. They had to send letters the old-fashioned way. And I highly doubt they were pen-paling each other about the best techniques for wielding a wooden spoon or the I can't shake the feeling that we were part of some giant social experiment. Like there was a secret society sending encoded messages through the commercials of the news. An intriguing puzzle that binds us all together. And it wasn't until the glorious era of TikTok that we all discovered we were not alone in our very bizarre upbringing. A coincidence? I don't believe in coincidence.
That was an amazing ending point to this video. I don't know what's left to say, but I don't want to say much because most of what was spoken here just brought back the image of my dad and his responses to the things that I used to tell him. He wouldn't say no. He would always send like a thumbs up or just say yes to everything or just shake his head. He didn't want to say much. He could barely say no to things and just let you be. So yeah, most of their reactions have depicted my father's image, and yeah, unfortunately he left. Yeah. But yeah, it is it is interesting to listen to all this, and yeah, every generation has something to learn from the previous. Instead of us blaming the previous ones, we have to learn from those who have gone ahead of us, because I kind of realize that we are all going through the same shit. Like nothing is new. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, share the video. Also, turn on the bell. Goodbye for now. Appreciate you.